I want to say some things about language learning. I read and listen and hear. I read and I hear a lot of bullshit. For the most part, if you are not a native speaker, and I spoke English as a child, but I would say that I'm a native speaker of Italian because reality is kind of gray sometimes. But let's say I'm not one who was born in an English speaking country and attending schools in an English speaking country and spent most of his life in an English speaking country speaking with other native speakers. Okay? That would qualify me as a native speaker. In fact, in spite of the fact that when I speak and I hear it, I don't feel that English is like a complete foreign language. It's over there, near, close, but not really a native. It's not really my native. And when I say native language, sometimes it's not that it's your first language, because there are people who spoke their first language for 3, 4, 5 years and moved to another country, and they almost forgot their first language and they became really native speakers of a second language. But the cold hard truth that is not so hard to accept is that you can become very proficient, you can almost sound like a native speaker, you can feel that language like part of you. You will never be, because you're not. Do you understand what I mean? There are many things you can learn and be proficient at, and where there's no native player of an instrument. Yeah, there are people who start very early, but it's not like languages. So the problem is, why would you pretend to be what you're not? And let's say you strive for, people try to be better, try to learn. I'm learning Russian, and I'm just scratching the surface of the language, which is quite difficult, but I don't care. As long as I'm alive, I will keep on learning. I see people who say sound like an. First of all, people want to learn 5, 4, 6 languages. Okay, the moment you embark on this endeavor of learning multiple languages, you will never sound like a native. So you have to just choose one language and go for it. You know what? Some people say, "Oh, I prefer learning 3 or 4 languages, not sounding like a native, because I like this." But many people on the internet speak about this, and learning languages has become something I don't like it at all with the internet, which could be a good, valuable tool to have access to limitless, for most languages, material. When I started learning modern Greek in 1984-54, I had access to nothing but 2 books, one exercise book, another a grammar book, with no audio part, nothing. I was so motivated that I completely absorbed these 2 books, and then I got in the real world, because I was a soldier when I did that, and then I got lessons. I used video, audio tapes, and recorded the lessons. And then there were many Greek students in Rome, and I spoke it for 2 years on a daily basis, almost like I was in Greece. I was very good, not that good now. I still kind of understand and speak it, but not on that level. But they immediately, there's something, you can fool some people who are not native speaker of that language. You could sound almost like a native speaker, but that's not true. For example, now I'm speaking English. If an Italian hears me, oh, he can think I'm a native speaker. I use it. I read in English. I know. I don't make a big effort in order to speak English. But when you speak a lot, I spoke today, there's always one word that escapes you, don't remember, and then you can hear yourself, because I can tell by the accent if somebody's a native speaker, even when I am the one speaking. Okay, so I hear myself, yeah, it doesn't sound like he was born there. Okay, I can teach the language, I can help Italians learn the language and tell them how to go about learning a foreign language, and specifically English. But when I speak Italian, I'm perfectly aware of what I am saying. I mean, I know that sounds like normal for somebody who lives in Rome and was born in Rome and lived most of his life. I also live in an English-speaking country. That's why I speak English, and I like. I don't think English is really an easy language. Every language is difficult or easy in different ways. I think English is easy if you already speak Indo-European language. It wouldn't be easy at all if you start late in your life and you speak Chinese or Japanese and never learned a foreign language. Let's say English is, you can easily get a working knowledge of English if you don't mind making mistakes and not having a wide vocabulary, and knowing all the idioms. English has a very simple morphology. That means you don't have to conjugate verbs for the most part, and you don't have to inflect words adjective. I mean, making accusative, genitive, dative, plural, feminine, plural, different kinds of plurals. No, but it has a very difficult spelling that doesn't help foreigners to learn the right pronunciation. Is divided at least in two big varieties with sub-varieties. American English, which is basically Canadian. I don't know how, if you can specifically distinguish in a clear way Canadian from standard American. They are going to converge. In the past they were more different. Then you have English, which has you have many dialects in England. Then you have Irish, Scottish, Welsh, Australian, New Zealand, with subdivisions, and you have two standards, as I said. So sometimes you have to learn a word twice, because one is the English, the British standard. Other thing is that when you learn a language, you're in for a long journey. and a lot of learning time. So you should ask yourself, am I ready for this? Am I motivated? I I started learning Russian, 15 months ago, and still struggle. It's normal. The language is difficult. Words have no stresses, like in Greek. In Greek, every word has a stress, and books that are not for learners don't have stresses. So if you don't wear the stress fault, you don't know how to pronounce a word. Every verb has to form affinitive and infinitive form. Some things are really crazy. It's a really inflected language. Inflected means the ending of the words change a lot according to their function in the sentence. There's also you have hard vowels, soft vowels. It's kind of crazy. Okay, but it's the language that people speak. I mean, if it was so difficult, why children speak Russian? So if you keep this in your mind and say, okay, every language is difficult, but not so difficult that I cannot get a working knowledge or be quite proficient for 5 year time. But you have to remember every day. Some days, no, I don't want to do that, and that's the difference between people who succeed or don't succeed. I'm not learning Russian to brag on the web. I think I will never upload a video where I speak Russian just to say, oh yes, can speak Russian. No, I keep it for me. I know other language. I'm speaking English now, and no, it's something I do. Let's speak out because it's a series of coincidences. I met some Russians that treated me well. I'm all for Russia in this conjuncture, international conjuncture. In spite of the fact that I speak English, I do not stand with the Western world now. I don't stand with the government of the Western world. I don't have anything against the Western world. I don't despise our civilization. I don't despise our music, our scientific progress. Most of the things you have, not everything or anything, but most of the things come from Europe and then America. That's a fact. So I don't feel superior, but I don't feel inferior. Technically wise, yes, we push the technological advance of the world, but anyway, also we made a lot of mistakes and we did a lot of bad things in the world. But okay, I try to be neutral. There are self-bashing Western people that, oh, I hate white people, I hate them. That's bullshit. Concerning Russian, my father, when I was teenager, went to Russia. He brought back some books. I saw the books. I couldn't read them. All these signs were fascinating and confusing at the same time. And I started learning for, I think, just 1 month, just after the fall of the Soviet Union. Uh, there was a pro-Russian sentiment at the time, and I bought some in newsstands. There was a series of what's this installments to learn Russian with the. And I lost. I had 2 or 3 with the audio tapes. Then I started very late. I was 60. Now I'm 61 when I started learning Russian. Will I ever? I don't know. If I don't die and we don't kill ourselves in an atomic nuclear war, okay, I most likely. I still start to understand things. It's not completely my my way of learning is very slow, steady, and in depth. Okay, I'm using Asimov. I also have another book. Look at the book. In 1 year, it's very, but things get into my subconscious mind a little. So it's just a matter of time, like I do with musical instruments. It's just a matter of time. If you have a method, literally a method, metodo intuitivo. Okay, method. You have your recording. I have also another book. I have a visual dictionary of Russian. Things start to fall into what's right now to make sense. It's like a crosswords. At the beginning it's difficult, then becomes easier and easier. It's the first part is quite difficult when you learn a foreign language, because you studying, you listening, you don't get the results. It takes, depending on the language, okay? Russian, I'd say after 2 years you make sense of what people say, unless you spend 4 hours a day, which is not possible. I think, I don't know, maybe because I'm older, I learned Greek much easier. Greek is not as difficult as modern Russian. Modern Greek is not difficult as Russian. When I see on the web a lot of nonsense about language learning, everybody has their own miraculous way of learning languages. I say the way Krashner is the name, the scholar about languages, is the best way. It's supposed to comprehensible input and try to communicate in the language. Asimov is not perfect. It's not all images and things, but is okay, acceptable. Also have another book. At the beginning, now I listened and I review grammar and context. I bought also the second book. After 15 months, I'm only at lesson 62. I don't like to go push forward if I'm too much, because otherwise I have a lot of lessons that I forgot. Usually, the older the lesson, the better I remember. Some people think it's the opposite. No, because I've been reviewing this lesson more and more. It takes some weeks for a lesson to settle in my mind. At the beginning I hear the sound, I know the meaning. They don't go together immediately. Okay? The moment you hear the sound, there's no gap between listening to the sound and making sense. is that the sound should become the meaning. If I say in my language bicchiere, immediately is the glass or a glass. Uh, in Russian, okay, stakan, but if you wake me up in the middle of the night, you say stakan, I wouldn't know. But if you wake up in the middle of the night and you say cup or tatsa, I would know. Even in Greek, flitsani. Okay? Once they're in the long-term memory, you never forget. Even there are words in modern Greek, even if I don't speak Greek for 4 years, those words, not all the words of Greek, but those words they are the basics, the core of the language, you don't forget. But it takes a long time for these words to become part of you. Learning a language is learning, forgetting, learning, forgetting, learning, forgetting, learning, forgetting, until there is a point, even the days of the week or the numbers I forget, and then I don't forget anymore. That's the way it goes. And if you learn a language thinking, oh, I studied this like history or geography, it doesn't work like that. It's an ability, skill. It's not just knowledge. It's like driving or playing a musical instrument. Concerning the active phase, that's my opinion, because I always change opinions. I mean, I listen to other opinions and okay, maybe it's like this, but once I wouldn't, don't feel stressed. Oh, I have to do this. Don't feel the urge to be perfect, because that makes you nervous. That makes your learning not pleasant, and at the end of the day, there's an idiom in English: leave well enough alone. If you want to be good, sometimes be confident. I'm every day I'm exposed to the language from 1 hour or 2 hours. Okay, it's impossible I don't learn. It's impossible. If you were born in a country, in a different country, you would speak that language. So nobody is so stupid that he can't learn their own language. If you make in your life, make a part of your life 1 hour, 2 hours, in like you're in that country, you're exposed to the language in a meaningful way, sooner or later you will start learning whole sentences, making sense of what people say. Always some words, okay, you don't catch these words, or people actually don't utter everything clearly, don't articulate. Some language more than this, like English, also Russian. There are languages where some phonetical phenomena happens less. Italian, Spanish, also Greek. There's always something happening. It's never pronounced exactly like it's written. But okay, you get it in time. If you're exposed to the right language and you have you really absorbed the core words of the language, the main grammatical pattern and structure, and then what I do, even in English, I'm fluent in English. I think when I watch something in English, that happens quite a lot. There are words, that I don't know, I forgot, they have a different meaning, or there's an idiom that is not, I didn't know, and I always stop and write. Even in Italian, that is supposed to be my native language, uh, nobody knows the whole language. Uh, Sometimes there are words that I don't know, words I don't use, or words that are used in the north we don't use here. I'm always curious, and I'm sounds weird, but when I bump into words that I don't know, I'm happy. Okay, I'm learning something new. You know. So sometimes people, oh, I watched all this and understood everything, and I say, well, so it was pointless because you didn't learn anything new. Okay. Obviously, you should be exposed to languages is close to your level of learning with something new, because now I learned Russian for 50 months. I watch a movie, I don't understand shit. I understand some words, some sentence now and then. I can't follow a movie, so I can watch I don't know how many movies. My Russian would improve much unless there are specific videos that are gradual and meant and geared towards Russian learners. And there are some channels that I like for Russian from Izdaleka, from afar. But still, yeah, I don't know enough words to really follow them. And I think that after other 12 months, I will start. I will more confident speak about simple things, speaking with native speakers, because actually Russians, the problem with that language change that the moment you're able to do it, it's too late. You don't need anymore because you already speak the language, and many people are not able to really have language exchange when the other person barely knows that language. I'm able because I was a trained teacher and I know how it works. I use realia, objects, and stuff like that. And it's very interesting. It's so challenging that, and you can use your hands. Never use English. No, you have to jump at the deep end and use just language. Language change doesn't mean that you have to speak like, oh, what did you do yesterday? That's a level that you are complete beginner, you don't have it. So you start from me, you, object, glasses, I put on my glasses, I cut. Oh, you can do a lot of stuff. And everything you learn like this will stick in your mind much more. Everything, the more it resembles reality, the more your brain absorbs the thing. Other thing, our mind tend to erase, like a computer, a software automatic every now and then erases all these information programs, or I don't know, that are not important for the computer, and we do. That's why we forget things. Thank God we forget things, because otherwise we would be overwhelmed by I'm 61. If I remember everything, God damn it, I wouldn't have space to remember other stuff. So our brain chooses that, and get out on a limb. That's my understanding. What to remember or what not, and we forget. So it's not that, oh, I think that's important. The brain does that. Okay, let's see how many times he used that. How often he spoke the language, how often he hears the language, how often he really needs the language to deal with in real life with other people. He's a stupid person who wants to learn a language out of context like this, and we forget. So we have to so overexpose our brain to that language in order, even if we don't use a lot. But okay, every day he has to listen to this. He better remember, because it's like when we run, and the muscles are told, okay, you better get bigger and much more performant, because this person needs this every day. So in a way, our brain does like this. So we have to remember this. Never get discouraged because you forget words. It's meant to be. There are a lot of things you can do, but basically take it easy. And nobody told you, oh, you have to learn this language. Don't learn languages because it's fancy or because you want to impress other people. That's so stupid. At the end of the day, you would have spent hours of time for something you don't like, to impress people who maybe are not impressed and don't even know if you're good or not because they don't speak your language. Native speakers, wow. There are some native speakers from certain nationalities. They don't care if you speak their language. For example, English. Nowadays, so many people speak English and so well that they don't give a shit if you speak English. Some languages, Russians. There are many foreigners that learn Russian from neighbor countries that were in Soviet Union. They still have, some of them try to erase Russian, and I don't like them. For example, Baltic state, the worst. Really, I don't like them. I don't like their politics. So I want to say Russia phobia, because phobia means fear in Greek. Miso-Russian, like misogynistic. They hate Russia. They don't. They should be scared. You tease Russia. It's a nuclear power. I think what. Okay, that's politics. I know, but anyway, learn a Russian, language. Learn a Russian. Learn a language that really you feel comfortable thinking. I have to deal with these people. Okay, I don't. Nowadays it's difficult to go to Russia, but anyways, it's not so far from Italy. It's not like America, Australia. I think it's, I don't know, 3 hours and a half. Rome, Moscow, with direct flight that there aren't anymore. You can make friends and speak. Language exchange, as I said before, is very difficult. Russian are usually not able to help beginners with their language. That's my experience. So I quit trying to speak with Russian because it was useless. It was frustrating because many Russians speak Italian, but they have a different approach. Their pronunciation sometimes is very bad choice of words, don't remember, but they can speak and they can understand. I have another approach. So the moment I will speak not like a Russian, as I said before, but I will speak quite well, being a foreigner. So it's a long speech. But I want to say these things because I watch a lot of bullshit on the web. People who pretend to know I don't know how many languages. They learn the language in 2 weeks or 2 months. No, okay. If you learn a language to be on a very high level, at least 10 years. I know people say fast bullshit. Goodbye.